Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Deal Flow Live. This is the show where we break down business deals. We talk about businesses that are listed online for sale. We talk about the price of them. We talk about all of the little intangibles, the things that you want to be thinking about if you were buying a business like this. And then we talk about who a business like this might be a fit for. I'm one of your hosts, Brody Vinson.
I'm your other host, Ryan Santo.
And we are very excited to dive into an electrical contracting business today. I got into looking at businesses today and I said, Ryan, you want to look at a bigger one today? Ryan said,
yes.
Why not?
The numbers
Why wouldn't
always
we?
look nicer on the big ones.
They do. And we'll talk a little bit about, once we get into about why it's actually often better to buy a bigger business. But let's just jump right into this one. I figure we just dive in and see what this business is looking like. So this is a long-established electrical contractor.
Mhm.
Ryan, I'll make sure you can see it here as well. But what we've got going here is we've got an asking price of $4 million and cash flow of 1.425. So right off the bat, not too bad of a multiple at that level. What do you think?
Very reasonable multiple.
I'm doing
I won't
my
be
math.
surprised if they have a good broker behind them.
Yeah, if I'm doing my math, we're sitting right at about a 2.8 multiple.
That gross revenue and then all their inventory, that's closing in on 8 million just with that alone. So that, I mean, the sales are what? Is that 6.4 million in sales gross?
Yeah, just under 6.5 in gross
That is
revenue.
impressive.
So we've got 6.5 in revenue.
All right, before we scroll down any further,
divided by, hold on, let's see what the margins are here. About 6.5 divided by about 1.133. So we've definitely got some add backs in here. I like that they're showing a legitimate difference between cash flow and EBITDA. We are at about, I did my math wrong there, 1.133 over 6.5. We're at about 17.4% profit margins. That's a little low, but not anything out of the neighborhood of what you would typically see for an electrical contractor. They tend to be a little bit lower margin. So not anything I'm surprised to see there.
Is that a broker that's listing this one on there? Is that a brokerage or is that an individual?
Looks like it is. Lee Levinson Peterson Acquisition.
Okay, that's good. That explains, not to say people can't, but usually that's a kind of cleaner, concise. Before we scroll any further, let's take a bet here. Will they list the they're saying 89% recurring business? Will they list their mix? Yes or no?
Oh, highly doubt it.
I'm going to bet on Peter Levin. I'm going to bet on our boy.
So?
I'm going to bet on him.
So what Ryan's saying here is, are they going to list whether or not, are they going to list what mix of residential versus maybe new home construction versus commercial work they have? They're going to give us the breakdown of what types of services they do. And it looks like Ryan was right. All right. That's $50,000 for Ryan.
Heck yes.
Established in 1991, they offer a wide range of electrical contracting services, including construction, renovation, maintenance, voice data, and fire alarm services.
Voice data?
That's interesting.
Yeah, I've never heard of that before.
Me neither. Yeah, it sounds like they're well diversified in their services. About 70% is focused on renovations and conversions. New construction makes up the remaining 30%. About 60% of their work involves supermarkets, while the remainder consists of mixed retail and other commercial projects. Interesting.
So they are 100% commercial, but their commercial mix is varied.
Well, they do new construction as well.
I would put that in commercial.
It could be commercial new construction. That I guess they don't say. I always assume residential there, but it could be, yeah. The thing I'll say about new construction is if anything changes about the economy too much and the rate at which homes are being built, then all of a sudden you're at risk a little bit. So sometimes we don't like new construction too much.
My emphasis is also when there's a business that you're looking at, specifically this is in New York.
Yeah, this is in Suffolk County, New York, which I'm not super familiar with the area.
Been there a few times from the, I'm from the Northeast area. I've been to New York State proper and New York City. They're two distinctly different places, but Suffolk is a fairly robust town. It's a very robust area, and it's not one of those like sleepier parts. So I could imagine they have a decent amount of recurring business, and there is a decent amount of construction. I did recently look into some studies about new home construction because obviously I love researching stuff, and I was listening to some people talk about, the prices of homes and fluctuation about all that. And one of the studies that they brought up in reference was that states like Texas and Florida, the very kind of the hotbeds that COVID developed, have the most houses being built. And in turn, they have the fewest barriers to not only new home construction, but also like regulation on what they can look like and stuff. Essentially, they're not overbearing the builders to the point where they can't actually build anything. They are very pro builder. They do have rules and regulations, but they are very pro builders. So this is doing very well, but I would probably say I'd want to have a bit more in residential and repair work because I know that the Northeast is notoriously very strict on their policies. So if this were a Florida business, I think we'd be seeing this upwards probably a 3.5x because they probably would have more business that I know what to do with. So that's my take on where they're located in kind of the industry and how that works with that mix.
And that could explain why we're seeing below a 3 times multiple. That wouldn't typically be standard for something this size, typically above $1 million in a year in cash flow. You are going to see something a little bit higher multiple. That definitely explains things a little bit. I'm surprised to see this listed regardless, though. It's a great price. Looks like they are selling because of retirement. They want to retire. They keep honing in on this concept of being able to expand into healthcare. So that's pretty interesting. I work with a company here in town that does a lot of healthcare work on the commercial side. They do a lot of healthcare on the HVAC side of things. So company like that could make a lot of sense to fold in something like this where they already have a lot of healthcare work, but they're not servicing the electrical side. Definitely interesting. One thing we haven't called out yet, since 1991, that's a really, really long, good track record. This business has been around for longer than 30 years. So we really like to see that. That just shows good longevity. The best predictor of future performance is usually past performance. So whenever Ryan and I see something like that, we get excited about it because we know that this business has stood the test of time and is going to continue to be around for a while longer.
For sure. This thing has a lot of hallmarks of a very good either start into an industry or bolt on. Where I have always thought is a good point to be made is that these the sellers with the big ideas of how to expand the business, it sometimes seems too straightforward because it does sound, just get healthcare contracts. Remember, if it were easy, they would have already done it. So, getting into those is very difficult. And unless there's a lot of new healthcare facilities being built that are looking for people, you're going to have to go out. You're going to have to, and this is my experience talking and knowing people in the construction industry. You got to bids, you got to schmooze, there's a lot of barriers to taking somebody. Essentially, you're taking somebody else's contract. You have to do a lot to kind of wiggle in there most of the time. So just remember, yes, they have an idea of expansion to get into healthcare. Great. How do you do that?
Very relationship based.
Yeah.
Depending on what these 16 Yep. And depending on what these 16 employees look like, to be able to make that kind of expansion, you're going to need someone that is full-time devoted to business development.
And you're probably going to need more employees who are simply able to do the work.
Yep. So you would definitely need to have that. But for someone who's already got those relationships in healthcare, that's where I think this would make a lot of sense. Not the type of thing, like Ryan said, that you just crack into one day, but one thing I really like about this business is it sounds like between retail chains and supermarkets, sounds like they've got a lot of just regular business. Like that seems to be a kind of a niche for them. So altogether, I'm going to give this business, based on everything I've seen, and there's a lot that we don't know, of course, but This one checks a lot of the boxes we like to see. I'm going to give this one an A, actually. What are you going to give this one?
I'm going to give it an A-, and I say A- because I do think there's probably some infrastructure stuff that we're not getting privy to. Like, I don't know if they mentioned their marketing or if they mentioned their how they get their business, but I would imagine that if they started in 91, they're probably heavily relationship based because as we all know, the 90s internet was not what it was today, which meant a lot of handshakes, a lot of agreed upon stuff. So it would probably take a lot for me to be like, I need the owners to help me transition to some of these longer standing contracts, because they may have contracts that are going back as far as that, that are purely based on the fact that Joe likes, Bob, who is the owner. So there'd be a lot of transition stuff that I'd look for, but that's the only reason I'm knocking it down from an A to an A-, because that transition would need to be very smoothly handled.
It's a fantastic point. And we've seen this in commercial businesses here in town before and other ones that we've looked at, which is that, sometimes there's not really much of a business there if it is dependent on the owner a lot. The ones that I see that are really the most well positioned are the ones where the owner's done a really great job handing off a lot of the business developing to other people in the business and making them responsible, getting them to buy into it, whether it's their job or just touch as part of their job, and where a lot of those relationships are with many people across the business. Those are the ones that are really solid. So I would want to see something like that if I was buying this business. I think that's a really great reason to dock it.
Oh, for sure. But other than that, I think they've done a great job building this business that looks healthy on paper. And it looks like the broker has a very good idea of what they have and has kind of gotten the owner to go inside with them. So great job on all fronts, I think, with this one.
Fantastic price, great cash flow, decent margins, good niche,
almost
long track record.
I'm almost going to knock it down because it is in New York.
Yep. And Ryan did a lot of work to escape the Northeast.
The tri-state cannot take me back, and I would question anyone who's willing to move up there for this business.
But if you're already up there in the area,
if you're stuck,
especially if you've got some good healthcare contacts, this one honestly makes a lot of sense for you. Well, we've seen this business. Let us know what you think in the comments. Let us know if this is a business you would like to own, or if you wouldn't, let us know why not. And tune in every Tuesday night right around 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for more episodes of Deal Flow Live. And Ryan, what's the best place to find us?
You can find me personally on LinkedIn, Ryan Santo on LinkedIn. You can find Brody as well, Brody Vincent on LinkedIn. And for everything involving Brody and Scale for Sale and Deal Flow Live, you're going to go to brodyvincent.io on Instagram. And I believe those are your preferred places, right?
Those are. And I'll give a little shout out as well to Scale for Sale. Scale for Sale is my company. Ryan helps as well. And we do all types of different business advisory work for lots of different businesses like these boring typical businesses. So if you do happen to be watching as an owner of a business like that, and you want to have a conversation about things that are going on in your business, if you're looking to grow, maybe you're looking to acquire a business, maybe you're looking to put the systems in place to be able to grow and acquire a business, that's exactly the type of work that Ryan and I love to do at Scale for Sale. So go to scaleforsale.com to check that out a little bit more, see what we're about and what we do. And in the meantime, we'll see you on the next one.
See ya.